This story was told to me by my uncle. This happened to his neighbor in the late 70s in Singapore. I will share his story from his perspective. During the time of this encounter, I was only in second grade. The government and corporations started constructions of various new tall housing buildings known as HDB and various bridges. There was a rife rumor going around during that time that this creature known as the Kapala and Jinn was air quotes employed or summoned by the rich corporations. This creature was going around HDB corridors and kidnapping children. It was said this kidnapping appeased this evil spirit and prevented a disaster for the constructed foundations. The rumor of the Kapala and Jinn even made the headlines of the newspapers during that time, and all parents refused to let their children travel to school alone. During this period of time, the police were not as technologically advanced and efficient. The crime of kidnapping was not uncommon in Singapore. I assumed it was just some kidnappers diverting attentions to supernatural beings. However, I was wrong. It was during a hot afternoon after school. I was doing my homework beside my window. Being the inattentive kid that I was, I stared outside and started to daydream. A side note for those of you not familiar with the Singapore HDB housing layout. The high-rise buildings are 10 floors high, with a corridor outside each house that links to a common lift. This means you will walk by your neighbor's door and window each time you come home via the lift. I was staring outside and noticed something that caught my attention. Opposite of my block, I saw a weird-looking figure. As my eyes adjusted, I took a closer look. My breath got caught in my throat, and I couldn't hear anything but my heartbeat. This thing I was staring at was very tall. It was extremely hairy and had a huge build. If I had to compare the build to today, I would say it was like John Cena, but with a lot of hair on the chest and arms. From my view, I noticed something peculiar about it. It had a dog head in place of where the human head should be. I first thought this was a costume until I noticed a huge tongue sticking out. This thing was panting like an actual dog. I rubbed my eyes twice to see if my eyes were deceiving me. My heart sank when I saw this thing slowly proceed to stop by a window and reach one of its arms inside. Then it seemed to be trying to pull someone or something out. That's when I heard a little girl screaming for help from the window. I jolted back to reality. I started shouting as loud as possible, Kepala Anjing! Kepala Anjing! Kepala Anjing! I shouted at the top of my lungs and screamed for that creature to stop and let the little girl go. There was enough commotion that neighbors started peering out of their windows. Most of them saw what I was seeing, and they too started to shout at this thing and yell at the neighbors of the opposite block to help stop the creature from pulling the child. Many neighbors started to grab their cleavers, mops, brooms, and sticks. Then they raced towards this creature. I too grabbed my baseball bat and ran down as fast as my legs can carry. At this point, no one cared that there was a massive monster in the building. The only thing everyone cared about was to stop this thing from taking the child. However, when we got there, the creature was gone. The brother of the little girl told everyone that this thing grabbed his little sister while she was dozing off near the unlocked window. As soon as it grabbed his sister and he heard her screaming, he ran over and grabbed his sister opposite to the creature. This thing was trying very hard to quickly pull his sister out, but got too scared and let go after it heard the huge commotion and saw the numerous neighbors rushing it. He thanked everyone for helping and willingness to confront this monster repeatedly. Unfortunately, no one was able to intercept this thing as we all ran up the stairs. There were multiple staircases leading up, and no one was sure which one it took to escape. Those who remained at the opposite block claimed that this thing took off at an unnatural speed. Many of the men decided to search the entire neighborhood, find this thing, and kill it. But it had disappeared without a trace. Since then, there were no more kidnappings in the HBD structures. Regardless, I chose to always lock my window and doors once the sun set in case the Kepala and Jing were ever to return.